Okay, Dune 2021 by Denis Villeneuve. Now, I've reviewed this story three times at this point. I'm not really going to go over story details, just say it ends halfway through with Paul meeting up with the Fremen people and joining them. Now, this movie came out at an interesting time. We are really in a point where the market is saturated with overly processed assembly line movies. Looking at you, Marvel, MCU, everything, and other comic book movies where there's multiple releases a year, and especially the MCU where now everything has to tie into series as well as movies, and it's just made to be easily consumable rapid fire nonsense where they just throw a lot of stuff at the screen and don't expect you to think about it too much. Not knocking it if you like the movies, you're not wrong. I'm just saying the quality type of the how should I put this? The type of movie being made has taken a hit in quality where you're seeing more and more low attention span type movies that aren't made to really make you think or focus on the good performances or whatnot. They're just like a McDonald's hamburger and meant to be easily consumed. And in this time, we're gifted with this movie, a movie that, had we not been in this time period, I probably would not have liked as much, but I really like this. This was my introduction to Dune. I actually found out a few things beforehand because I'm a Warhammer 40K fan, and like a few weeks before the movie, I had seen something on how the Dune navigators are what inspired the 40K navigators, and I can see similarities there. But I went into this movie completely blind, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what was going to happen. Some things you just know of by osmosis, like I knew about spice, but I didn't know what spice was. I knew about sandworms, but I didn't know their significance. And I went to see this movie and I was actually expecting more action, but what I got was a slow burn, character based drama, and I couldn't have been more pleasantly surprised. Oh, don't get me wrong, there are great special effects in this movie. In many of the computer effects, like the ornithopter, look and feel practical, and they're just really well done, really well shot. But this is just a slow burn, character focused movie, and it establishes the universe really well. Doesn't do the best job explaining some things, but the book didn't either, so, I can throw it a bone there. The cast overall is also really well done, and even Zendaya, who I don't like, is not intolerably annoying in this film. That being said, she still has that, you know, I hate the world, I hate you look on her face throughout most of the movie. Someone needs to just tell her that intense glare does not make your performances more dramatic. It just makes you more unlikable. One of the biggest changes, and it didn't bother me at first, but Dr. Himes is a woman in the movie. He was a man in the book, and after reading the book, I totally get why that fans of the book didn't like that, because you wouldn't think that one little thing would change the character a lot, but it really does change the character more than you would think. So that one I can put as a negative. But I do feel for the most part, and I'm not faulting the actress, don't get me wrong. She did a really good job portraying the character, and I still like the character, but it just didn't do the character justice. The fault there is in the writing, not the actor. Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho was good. Uh, Oscar Isaacs is the Duke Leto Atreides. Javier Bardem as the Fremen Stilgar. We got Josh Brolin as Gurney Hallen. It's just a well-rounded cast. Had this film been out back in the 90s, where now when you're in a time period where you sell movies based on the spectacle or the franchise, you could have easily sold this movie based on the casting. That being said, a lot of cast characters seemingly die in this movie. You'll be surprised to see a few returning in chapter 2, and when Villeneuve gets to adapt Dune Messiah, you'll be even more surprised at one character that kind of sort of makes a return but not really in that book. Have you read the book? You know what I'm talking about. The movie does have a good pace. It takes its time focusing on these characters and the world. The cinematography is another phenomenal thing about this movie. The way they shot the desert of Arrakis, it just looks painfully hot to be out in that desert. Like, you just see them out in the desert and you just cringe because you know that it just has to be that painful. The sound design is... This is probably the best sound design I have ever seen in a movie, whether it's the sound of things like the ornithopter or just the more ambient scenes. The sound design is just, in the theater, it blew me away. And even on my TV without surround sound, it's still extremely impressive. And let's talk about the sandworms. They did a really good job characterizing the sandworms, where the scene where Paul accidentally stumbles on the drum sand and they get chased by one, the sandworm pops out of the sand, and like, you can feel this creature has an intelligence to it, that it's not just a mindless beast. And again, the effects look really well. They took time and craft with this movie. It wasn't just spit out on an assembly line, which was again, it was refreshing. This is what happens when you seriously slow down, take time and effort to put it into your movie, and not have to worry about, I have to be on par with one or more releases a year. No, Villeneuve gambled, took the time to tell half the story really well, and it paid off. That being said, had this not been announced that it was getting a sequel, I would not have owned this movie. I would not have watched it again, but the gamble paid off, and Chapter 2 starts filming this fall. I can't wait to see it. I'm a very newly minted fan of Dune. It's a fascinating universe that this movie captured really well, and also gives me hope that one day we'll get a Warhammer 40k movie, because I feel this movie proved a Warhammer 40k movie is possible, because at times this gave me a 40k vibe. Even when it comes to some of the terminology, and I'm like, yeah, this could easily be a... Please, someone give us a Hollywood 40k movie. I even liked it so much, I got, in, bear with me, part of this is hard to get out, I got the limited edition Walmart exclusive set, which comes with the Gom Jabbar stick your hand in the box. And the cool thing about it is, it comes with this, and I'll admit, this could have been done more high quality, This just feels cheap. Even the box should have been plastic, but it's still cool. It comes with this box where when Dune Chapter 2 comes out, I can put Chapter 2 in here, and oh, it's got the Atreides crest and signet ring on it, but I can put them in here and keep both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 inside the box where they belong. I give this movie a solid A+. It was just, again, so refreshing to see a movie that put this much craft, that trusted the audience, had an attention span greater than a goldfish, and was smart enough to sit through it. I wish more movies like this would come out, but sadly, we're in the highly processed assembly line film age, and it kind of is the dark ages of motion pictures. We really need more films like this coming out. Not to echo, even though he got a lot of flack for it, but what Martin Scorsese said about the Marvel movies, and he wasn't knocking them, but when he asked, are they really art? I think he was making a legitimate point, and this is a whole other video where it's like, I said it's just all this over-processed films, just assembly line films coming out, and the same level of craftsmanship just cannot go into these films if you're that concerned with spitting them out on an assembly line. We don't need 4 or 5 whatever releases a year from one franchise. Just slow it down, which is another tangent that now, if every movie is an event movie, no movie is an event movie because the event movie just has lost its luster because every big budget Disney film is marketed as the newest event movie, and it's, you said that about the last one. It's like I said, this is the antithesis of the don't think, consume product, and get excited for next product movie. And I just want to see more films like this come out because it shows you can make a crowd pleaser that is slower in nature, that trusts its audience to be smart. I know this is a different type of review, but again, do you really want to see me 3 videos in a row essentially review the same story? So, like, share, comment, subscribe. Alligator review coming soon, and my video on Paul and the Jihad. Over and out.